Hello viewers, my name is Isai Wilson. I'm your basic technology teacher, JS3. In our last class, we discussed on drawing practice, and we subdivide the drawing practice into 4 subheadings. And as the last class, we treated isometric drawing, and also we treated oblique drawing. We were left with 2 other topics, which are orthographic projection and one-point perspective drawing. And so today we are going to consider orthographic projection and the one-point perspective drawing. In the first place, we start with orthographic projection. What is orthographic projection? We said that orthographic projection is a way of drawing a 3-dimensional object from different directions and different views of the objects. It is a true method of representing the true shape of an object on a single plane by describing the shape and sizes of each part of the complete object. In this method of representation of different views of the objects, are drawn separately. They are drawn separately. For example, if you have a box, this box is being drawn using isometric drawing, which is one of the pictorial drawing. So if we are to put this box in orthographic projections, it therefore means that we take different views of this object. For example, if we take this side to be the front view, it means that we need to section this out in a different plane. We section it out, and then if you view from here, also we bring it out in a different plane. And then if you view from here also, we bring it out in a different plane. And that is all about what we mean by orthographic projections. And the important things we need to know about orthographic projection, that it shows all details of an object, and hence they are the only drawing upon which fabrications and constructions of objects, machines, and structures can be based on. Before you take up any construction, of course, we need to put it down what we call the working drawing. And the working drawing is all about putting the objects in orthographic projections, putting them into different views and different sections before you can now couple them to give you what we call the isometric or the pictorial drawing. And in orthographic projections, we have what we call the principal plane of projections. Principal planes of projections. And then we have 2 principal planes of projections in orthographic projection. Number 1, we have the vertical plane, and then number 2, we have the horizontal plane. Two planes in orthographic projection, the vertical plane and the horizontal plane. These 2 planes, when they are intersect with one another, it gives us what we call the quadrant, 4 quadrants. When these 2 planes, the vertical and the horizontal, when they intersect, it gives us 4 quadrants. Number one, we have here the first quadrant, whereby we also have it to be the first angle projection. And then we have here the second, and then we have here the third, and then we have here the fourth. The fourth. Now, these 4 quadrants in a orthographic projection, you only operate with 2 of it. We operate with the first quadrant and the third quadrant. And here is what we call the first angle projections and the third angle projections. So in the plane whereby the orthographic projection is projected is in 2 planes, the first angle projection and the third angle projections. So that takes us to what we call the principal views. The principal views. In orthographic projection, we have 3 principal views. We have 3 principal views. Number one, we have the elevation. We have the front elevation. Front elevation or front view. Then number 2, we have the plan. Then number 3, we have the side, or we call it end or side elevation. The end or side elevations. That is the 3 principal views that we have in orthographic projections. And we come up with the front elevation. The front elevation is obtained by viewing an object, looking at the object from the front of the object to be drawn, and it is seen in the vertical plane. Now what that means is that just as I put the first drawing, I put it there down again. Now what we mean there, if this is the front of the object, it means that you are viewing from here. If you are viewing from here, all what you will see is this line, this line, this line, and this line. And that becomes what we call the front elevation. The front elevation. That's where you view it. And then the plan itself, the plan. You view the plan. The plan is when you view an object from above. You look it down. What you see here, if you view from up down, you see this line, you see this line, you see this line, and then you see this line. That we call the plan. It's just like the plan of a building. This is the way of representing the plans of a building. The building that you start from we say the building plan, it starts from the ground level. It's like you looking from up. All what you see, if you are up, and all what you see down, it becomes the plan. That is exactly what we mean here, and that is what we call the plan. And then, if you view from here, this is this side that we call the side elevation or the end elevation. That is to say that you are viewing from the side here, And in orthographic projection, when you are presenting it, all will be in the right angle. That means in this case, you put it down here, the front elevation, you put it down here, the plan, this will be the front, then this will become the plan. And then the side elevation. If this is the left side, you are viewing from the left side of the object, then the side view will come up here in your plan. So by this, you call it, this is the end, or the side elevation. So this actually is what we mean by representing an object in three views, or in three directions. That is all about orthographic projection. And in orthographic projection, I said earlier that we have what we call the angles of projection. Angles of projection. Angles of projection is like what I explained. When the two principal views intersect in each other, then it gives us four quadrants, four sections. And then one of the section we are going to use is then the first angle and then the third angle, and that gives us the angle of projection that we are using in orthographic projection. This angle of projections is an expression of angle expression which refers to the quadrant of a circle in which the object being drawn is imagined to be placed. Meaning that if you have like a mirror, put it down again like a mirror, you have, this is the surface of the mirror, you have here, this is the surface of the mirror, this is the first angle, and then this is the third that we are going to use. Then, if you place an object here, this object will reflect here in this. It will reflect then, and then this other side will also reflect here. So you now discover that if you are viewing this object, you see it here, and then this side of the object, you see it here. If this becomes the front, it means that you see it here. And then whatever you see it here represents the front of this. And whatever you see it here comes up here, and then represents that. In this case here, when it is done in this way, in the first angle projection, then we see that the plan of the object will always be below the front elevation of the object. The plan of the object will always be below the front elevation of the object in first angle projections. But in third angle projection, it is a reverse of the case. Because in this case, you see then that the plan of that object will rather be above the front elevations of the objects. For example here, if we take this becomes a typical example of first angle projection. Here we see here that this becomes the front, and so the front becomes stand here above the plan. The plan becomes low. This plan becomes down here, and then the side elevation will always come here. But in the other way round, if the right, this is the left side, will come here. The right side here will always come to this other side. And so in a skeletal drawing, how we represent it is that we put it in this form. The first angle projection, remember I said we have two angle of projection. Number one, we have first angle projection, and then the second one we have the third angle projection. In the first angle projections, you have that the first angle projection, and this will always be an angle of 45 degrees. Here you have the front. This is where the front elevation will come up. While the plant will be down here. Here you have the left side of the object. Left side view. While you have the right side view view. This is the first angle projection. This is very, very important because when you are to couple or to fabricate or construct any objects, it is these diagrams that will tell you, it gives you the details of the objects. Because sometimes you may view an object, but in the other way, when you view from this side, in the back side of it, you may not know the appearance of the other side. So, but in this first angle projections or in orthographic projection in general, it will give you the data, because whatever you see from the front, you will represent it here. Whatever you see from the up, you will see it here. And whatever you see from the side, it represents here the both sides, left and right. That is all about the first angle projections. And then we talk about the third angle projections. In the third angle projection, I'm saying that it's just a reverse of whatever you had before in the first angle projection. Here in this case you have here 45 degrees. In this case here, the plan will come up, while the front elevation will be below the plan. And here you have the right side or the left side, right side view, and then the left side view. And that is the first angle projection. So the difference between the first angle projection and the third angle projection is just that the first angle projection, the plan is below the front elevation, while in the third angle projection, the plan is above the front elevation. That is just the difference between the first angle projections and the third angle projections. And in the relevance, if you look at it, when you view from, and then looking at the notes, you see the questions below, the question number 1, the question number 2, and the question number 3, which says, what is an orthographic drawing? What advantage do orthographic drawing have over pictorial drawing? Then explain the 2 angles of projections. Remember that in our last class we talked about the pictorial drawing. Pictorial drawing, we group them into 2, the isometric drawing and the oblique drawing. All about isometric drawing is that it gives you the object, the picture of the objects. It gives you the picture of the object, but it will not give you the detail. It will not give you the detail. And so, but the orthographic projection will always. I said that the difference between orthographic projection and the pictorial drawing. In our last class, we talked about the isometric drawing and the oblique drawing, which is the pictorial drawing. And then the pictorial drawing will only give you the picture of the objects, but will not give you the detail. But it is the orthographic projection that will give you the details of the object if it is put them in pieces or in parts. All right, we move down to 1-point perspective drawing. 1-point perspective drawing. Perspective drawing are pictorial. Now let's move down to 1-point perspective drawing. Perspective drawing are pictorial drawing, and they show three sides of objects at once. Three sides of objects at once. For example, if you are taking a perspective drawing, you discover that here I put, because it is a pictorial drawing, it's a pictorial drawing. It means that if you stand here to view, you will see here, here, and then here. That is your viewing. What you see is that you see these points, you see these points, you see these points. So we said that it is a drawing that shows three sides of objects at once. It shows the three sides at once. And then one point perspective drawing is a type of central projection. It is based on a vanishing point when looking at objects that is far away. When looking at object that is far away. For example, when you are an object is before you, and then that object is far, the distance is far. When you are looking at that object, it will seem as if the object is going smaller. The object is smaller, and what you see is that whereby your eye is pointing at, is that you will see this point, and then you see this point, you see this point, and this is the point that is called vanishing point. Vanishing point. The principal distinguished feature of perspective drawing is that they makes allowance for the fact that as an object residing from the eye, the image of it observed by the eye becomes smaller. So in perspective drawing, the most important thing is for you to note how you are viewing and then know the vanishing point, because once you view, it's going to be looking very smaller. If we have to enter, like we said, 3 point, we have 3-point perspective. In the 3-point perspective, here you also see here, and then you also see here. That gives you another vanishing point. So that is all about perspective drawing. So in perspective drawing, we don't have much to talk about, but all what we need to know is the point of vanishing point. And as you are going through these lessons, you go alongside with your drawing instrument and then see to how you can practice this drawing, most especially the orthographic projections, knowing fully that this orthographic projection is one of the important questions, is one of the important topics that always come up in your practical exams, both NECO and the junior YA. Thank you.